Wow, people are really upset with Khalifa in the latest episode of Dragon Ball Super. Like, I have been messaged quite a bit and have personally seen how many are just outright angry with her and her character. Holy crap, guys, it's okay, chill. I mean, look, I know she's acting all big, but you gotta remember that she doesn't really know. She's unaware of what Goku and Vegeta have been through. So, just like, oh my god, all the complaining on her character and everything just because of her acting like a smartass towards Vegeta and Goku and all that. Just like, just chill a bit. Just chill, okay? Just chill. So, anyways, with that out of the way, I just want to state right now that besides the complaining going on with her character, Khalifa most likely is going to get destroyed in this tournament. Because with her basically going out of her way and talking down to Goku and Vegeta and all of them, and then all of a sudden you have it to where, you know, Toppo and all them pop up with Jiren, and she doesn't sense anything. You see, like, she doesn't understand how powerful they are. And if you look closely, you see Vegeta, you see Goku, and Kaba both turn to look at that team. So it shows that Kaba, at the very least, knows how powerful that team is. You could see the, like, shock in his face. He was just completely shocked, like, holy crap, that's an unbelievable amount of power that those guys have. And so, with, you know, Khalifa not actually doing that, she's like, oh, you guys scared or whatever? Oh, you must be weak or something? She doesn't understand what makes them terrifying. So, the way that is being set up, Khalifa is being set up to probably get destroyed. Most likely, she's going to just get completely wrecked and realize how wrong she is. And I could see her losing, initiating Kel into transforming into the legendary Super Saiyan. Because let's remember what happened when she, you know, demonstrated that form. It was because she was upset and jealous and all that because of how Kaba and, you know, Khalifa were getting along. And then she got angry, and then, you know, she transformed. And then we saw how Kaba was, you know, kind of getting destroyed a little bit by, you know, Kel. So, most likely, if Khalifa, you know, gets fucked up, I could see Kel coming in and actually, you know, probably transforming, having a power boost, because someone she cares about just got hurt, and then she's going to just start wrecking people. I can definitely see that being, like, the initiator right there, and maybe that's why they're setting this up with her character. But regardless of all of that, though, let's talk about one of the big things, the highlights of this episode, before I get into the nitty-gritty details. One of the biggest highlights of this episode is the Jiren introduction scene. Now, Jiren has been built up for a long time now. Many weeks and months. Months now, this man has been built up. In the opening song, to little key images we saw, to characters talking about him. This character has been built up for a while now. And many of the fans of Dragon Ball Super have been looking forward to seeing how strong this man is and how Goku stacks up with him and the entire cast as well. And after his introduction, I gotta say that was a very solid way to introduce his character. It wasn't just showcasing his power. They did do that in this episode, but the way it was done, like the way he just gets behind Goku and he's like, just, you know, get away or whatever, like, you know, get lost. It was just him saying, like, just get lost, you know, we don't want you around right now. And he got, you know, right behind Goku, and Goku didn't even realize it. Like, you saw Goku's face change from, like, just, you know, carefree to just serious in that moment, because he didn't even realize that the man could get behind him that quickly, and when he turns around and all that, because it's just like, damn, that man is absurdly fast. So, Jiren's overall introduction was solid in terms of personality, and also the display of his speed. But then, Toei Animation takes it one step further with this episode to show how Jiren is on a different level compared to everyone we have seen thus far. When the Gods of Destruction, you know, they're fixing up the ring and all that, which I'll talk about in a little bit. Basically, they're fixing up the ring, and you see how the blocks are coming into place to fix up the ring, and they have to speed up, you know, the process because all the teams are starting to come in. Jiren, he's sitting there, you know, talking with Goku, or Goku, you know, is just actually worried and all that, you know, getting in his battle stance. Jiren's like, get lost, and all of a sudden they speed up. You know, Goku has to dodge. He jumps up to dodge the blocks coming towards him, while Jiren just sits there and all that. He's massive, too. I just want to put some emphasis on this, that Jiren's overall build, you know, that it's way way bigger than Goku's. Like, this man is massive. And so, him not moving was just, you know, shocking to Goku. Like, holy crap, he's not even trying to dodge or whatever. Many at that moment, probably watching this episode, might have thought that maybe the man was going to try to, you know, tank it or something. Or maybe he was just going to move so quickly at the last second. But that did not exactly happen. Jiren, he didn't really even move. He just kind of moved his head a little bit, and that was about it. Which demonstrated one of the big things that had been building up for a good long while. Now, I don't know if it was that, but there is a potential possibility what Jiren did in this episode could be, you know, hinting at what happened in the Resurrection of Frieza's movie. If you remember what we said to Goku and Vegeta, is that they need to be able to learn ki control, but also be in a state to where they could be kind of relaxed, but also aware and on guard at all times. Kind of like your body automatically moves for you without you even putting thought into it. And these are problems both characters have, Vegeta and Goku. And Beerus himself, he still has not completely mastered this technique at all. That was something that was mentioned a long time ago, and we have seen cases after that where Goku has tried to, you know, kind of use this once again and get better at it. We've seen it when, you know, he was just waiting around and all that for Hit to come after him. He was trying to practice this. And in this case, I feel like that's what Jiren did. The way he moved and at the last second, I felt like that was kind of like what, you know, Whis is trying to teach Beerus, and Beerus is trying to learn much more and get, you know, 100% at it. Most likely, that's what Jiren did, and demonstrated that this man could auto-dodge without even really being aware of it, and that's kind of what that was. So, if that is what happened, holy shit, Jiren is OP, because how are you gonna hit a man that can, like, auto-dodge you without even really thinking about it? That's pretty scary. Now with the Jiren stuff out of the way, let's talk about the other cast, or all the characters that get introduced in this episode. So not talking about the gods or anything like that, because they kind of already been introduced. I want to talk about, you know, the fighters that are going to be participating in the Tournament of Power. And all the fighters overall, besides names and stuff and all that, I gotta admit, I like the designs of all the fighters. Some of them I'm like, about, but overall, all the designs are very unique and different from each other. Because normally, when you have something like this, like a big cast like this, usually there's some designs that kind of mesh together to where, like, they're very similar. And I was very surprised that all of the members kind of participating in the tournament, they're not actually similar at all. There's, like, certain designs that are similar, like maybe their clothing or whatever, but overall, the characters are very distinct and different individuals from each individual universe. So, I was very happy about that, you know, Toei Animation went that far to make the characters look different and not try to cheap out by making, like, you know, a team full of Yard Rats or something. Now, speaking of a Yard Rat, okay, so the Yard Rat that we saw in last week's preview, it is confirmed that it was a Yard Rat in the preview, and the characters in this episode. So, a Yard Rat. And the funny thing is, it's not from Universe 6. That's very strange, because everything we know about the world building thus far of Dragon Ball Super, there's twin universes, and as we know, like 6 and 7, they're twins of each other, so obviously they would have races and planets that are very similar. And so, Goku, as we know, he met the Yard Rat in his universe, and in the other universe, Universe 6, obviously they probably have Yard Rats, but that wasn't the case. The Yard Rat we saw was from a completely different universe, so I was thinking to myself, like, whoa, 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 whoa. What? Like, okay, maybe it's a possibility that some races from other, you know, universes could be in another universe too, but it's just like, when I was thinking of twin universes, I was thinking of, like, they only have those races, and then other universes have their own separate races. You get my point. And so, when I saw that, I'm like, what could this possibly mean? And I was thinking, and I was actually talking about this, I was talking with a couple of my friends about it, that most likely that Yard Rat being in another universe could possibly mean one thing. We gotta remember what a Yard Rat is capable of. Now, we never really seen their battle strength, but we do know that they have a very interesting technique that we've really never seen anyone else be able to use before, and Goku's like one of the only people that really know how to use it, and he learned instant transmission. Instant transmission has been a technique that has been very vital and important throughout the series of Dragon Ball Z. It has popped up so many times. It has stayed a very relevant technique to even Dragon Ball Super. And so, that technique is very powerful. And what's to say Yard Rat, since they kind of are the originators of this technique, they might have a more powerful version of instant transmission. So let's put this for an example. as we know, Goku, he can instant transmission across long distances. As long as if he can sense you, he can just teleport there. So, like, if he was able to sense, like, Beerus or whatever, he could instantly teleport to Beerus if he could sense God Ki. So, that just shows how OP instant transmission is. So, from what I am assuming is that since Goku has showcased that he can teleport to the other world and all of that with instant transmission, what's to say that he couldn't possibly, you know, teleport with instant transmission to other universes? I mean, think about it. I don't know exactly how that would work or how Goku or any Yardrat would be able to sense, like, you know, some form of energy from another universe because it's like another dimension or whatever. But regardless, that could be a possibility since, like I said, the Yardrats, they are the original users of instant transmission from what we're aware of. They might have a more powerful version where they could probably sense other universes or something, or teleport to other universes, or maybe they don't even need to sense Ki to teleport. Maybe if they just know the general area, they can teleport there. So when you look at it like that, that could explain why the Yardrat is in another universe instead of Universe 6, like, you know, the twin universes of 6 and 7. So, that's something to really think about and process. Maybe that is why. And maybe, just maybe, the Yardrat we are seeing, like, you know, in this episode from that universe, maybe the Yardrats were never really native to Universe 7. Maybe those Yardrats came from that universe. Maybe they teleported into Universe 7, and then they got stuck or whatever. Something happened, they never left. That could also be a thing. Who knows? So anyways, moving past that, let's see, the next part to talk about, let's talk about the actual, I guess, Gods of Destruction fighting. So, the Gods of Destruction, 3 Gods of Destruction from other universes, they get into a little, I guess, mock match. Like, they're just fighting just to kind of bypass time, so to say, just to entertain Zeno-sama. So, they're fighting and all that, and overall, from the way the fight was animated to just the way the camera was moving, it was a very good fight. Very detailed. It was a very well-detailed fight. Had no problem with it whatsoever. Background was really solid to the music in the scene, the way the characters' faces were, and the way they moved and all that. It looked like a very fine scene. And if that's something we can expect from the Tournament of Power, like fights like that, maybe not at the level of, like, Gods of Destruction going crazy, but if we can expect fights to be at that level with camera work and all of that, I'm really looking forward to it, because maybe that's what Toei was trying to imply with that scene. Like, this is what you can expect from, you know, the upcoming episodes, seeing a bunch of characters going at it at once and all that, energy blasts, punching each other. It would just be very interesting and fun. So, yeah, just that overall scene, a very nice scene. We didn't really get to see a lot of feats with the Gods of Destruction. I mean, they were very powerful, obviously, but we couldn't really see how fast they were moving because we didn't have anyone to really kind of do a comparison with. Like, for instance, let's say if Jiren was there and he was to watch that fight or whatever, or he was to participate in it, maybe he would have had a grasp on how powerful these gods were compared to someone like Jiren or Goku. But overall, though the fight looked nice, we just couldn't really, you know, get a good grasp on how strong they were. Now, however, there is something I do want to point out. There's only one way to really know how strong they were, and it's by how the material of the actual tournament floor, what it's made of. So, what's revealed in this episode from the Grand Priest is that the material he's been making this entire Tournament of Power out of is actually the material that has been referenced or used once before in Dragon Ball Z. Now, the material he uses in this, you know, episode, what he's been making the Tournament of Power, is a stronger version of the stuff we saw in Dragon Ball Z. But I still do like how Toei Animation has been using material from previous scenes from the earlier parts of the series, because that's something I really appreciate, when they go back to the material that they already previously established and then use it in, you know, their actual story at a later date. I really appreciate that. That's something I really like, and I love how Toei Animation has been doing that constantly in recent episodes of Dragon Ball Super, either using old techniques that we haven't seen since the Dragon Ball days, not Dragon Ball Z, but Dragon Ball days, or seeing characters come into the spotlight that hasn't been in the spotlight since Dragon Ball or early days of Dragon Ball Z. Just, there's been so many good decisions that Toei Animation has made for Dragon Ball Super in these recent months that I'm just really proud of them, and you can just really see that the quality of Dragon Ball Super has improved quite a bit since this arc began. I mean, there's a big step up here. Like, you can really see Toei Animation is putting down their entire hand to show that they're going all in for this arc, and they're really doing a good job with it. Now, overall, sometimes some faces kind of look a little bit off, but overall, it looks way better than, you know, the first half of Dragon Ball Super. The first half of Dragon Ball Super was kind of like, bruh, like, get that shit out of here. Like, that's pretty atrocious. But Toei Animation has definitely stepped up and made a very, very beautiful continuation of my beloved series, Dragon Ball Z. So, just stuff like that, just seeing, like, this material, getting back more on topic. So, anyways, talking about the material a little bit more in depth, though. So, the material, since it's a stronger version of the stuff we know from our universe from Dragon Ball Z, the Gods of Destruction, they were just obliterating the floor and the tournament, you know, power, flooring and all that. This material was like just paper mache to them. And the only way to really know how strong these gods are, since we didn't really have someone to compare with besides just Gods of Destruction, and we haven't really seen them really fight at all. So, seeing that material break, the only way to know how strong they were is if we see a character in, you know, the fight, the upcoming fights and stuff in the Tournament of Power, not being able to break that material. Like, if Jiren and Goku go ham, and they just start beating the shit out of each other, they're using energy blasts, and they're hitting it at the floor, and the floor doesn't get damaged at all, it just shows the level of those gods compared to Jiren and Goku. So that's the only way we can make a comparison here. So I'm looking forward to seeing exactly what happens to the floor after these gods fix it up, or they've already kind of fixed it up. I can't wait to see how the floor is once everybody starts going ham, fighting in the ring, and seeing how it holds up compared to what the gods were doing when they were just going crazy. But anyways, though, besides that, let's talk about the Tournament of Power now, the rules and stuff like that. So, a while back, months ago, when we found out a little bit more about the rules, about no killing, no items, stuff like that, there was also a no-fly rule. And many, I remember, argued with me constantly, like, Chibi, you're a fucking dumbass, like, they're gonna be able to fly in the ring, they're gonna be able to fly in the ring, they're gonna be able to fly in the ring! Now, seeing this episode, I'm just thinking, like, well, huh, what? What were you saying now? Like I said, it was obvious that they weren't going to allow flight at all. But many were arguing with me, saying, Chibi, you're a fucking dumbass. You're a fucking dumbass. They only can't fly when they fall out of the ring. But they can fly in the middle of the ring. And I'm just thinking, like, nope. And here we go. Perfect evidence right there. So, anyways, with me kind of just saying, yeah, I fucking knew it, let's actually look at, you know, the other stuff of this. So, apparently, the other rules that were, you know, implemented into this tournament is gravity from the respective person's area they were born in. For instance, Goku and Vegeta, since they were born on planet Vegeta, they have, like, I think it's 10 times Earth's gravity. I think that's it. It's either 5 or 10. It's one or the other. But anyways, all fighters that are participating, they have their home planet's gravity. So let's just say someone's gravity was 500 times, you know, Earth's natural gravity. That would be their gravity in this tournament. But it's also a way to really fuck someone over. Let's say someone was born on a planet with 500 times Earth's natural gravity, but then they moved to a planet like Earth, and then they never really trained or whatever, they never went back to 500 times Earth's natural gravity again. They might be really slowed down. They might get fucked over because of that. So I can definitely see this gravity situation maybe hurting some fighters. Maybe not our team, but other fighters from other universes, because maybe they're not used to the drastic change in gravity. Now, speaking of drastic change in gravity, we gotta look at Goku and Vegeta and all of our characters are part of our cast. Most of our cast is from, you know, Earth. Most of them are, and so we don't really need to worry about the gravity hurting or affecting them in any way. Frieza is one that's kind of an oddball, because we don't really know where Frieza was born in, or what planet he was born on, so we don't really know what type of gravity he's probably experiencing. For all we know, Frieza could be experiencing 1,000 times Earth's natural gravity. I mean, we don't really fucking know. Regardless, though, that's the only weird one on the team. Goku and Vegeta having like 10 or 5 times Earth's natural gravity, I don't think that's going to be a big problem, because you gotta remember what Goku was doing in the Namek Saga. This man went up to like 100 times Earth's natural gravity, and I mean, look how strong he got. And That's way above 10 times. And then on top of that, that's before he even reached Super Saiyan. And then, if we go one step further, King Kai's planet, to also, if we go even further than that, if we go to what Vegeta was doing and how he was training at like 500 times Earth's natural gravity, I just like, bro, 10 times is not really gonna matter much in the grand scheme of things of Goku and Vegeta. I mean, you remember the fight Vegeta had with that fodder character in Babbidi's ship, where, you know, he's like, 10 times Earth's natural gravity, and he was acting all cocky and shit, and Vegeta's just sitting there, and he's like, jumping up and down. He's like, look, if it was 500 times Earth's natural gravity, then you might have a chance, but 10, I don't even feel it. And that's the scene I was thinking of. I'm like, bro, there's just no way Vegeta is gonna have a problem at all. Goku as well, because they're pretty equal in that regard. Like I said, the only character we have to really worry about on our team would be Frieza, because we don't know what gravity he was born in, so, yeah. Anyways, besides that rule too, we also have the flying rule. So besides characters not being able to fly with ki, we do know that some can fly, however. If you're like a bird type creature that has the ability to fly, or a robot that can, you know, have jetpacks or whatever and get into the sky, you can fly. So, there is going to be some characters that are able to fly, but it's because they were born with this gift. For instance, you can't use your ki to fly and all that. You can only use what you're born with, like what your body is born with, like a bird or something, how they can fly. So, that lets us know that some will obviously have an advantage. They can be able to get higher up in the sky and fight back, because they don't really need to worry, because others can't get up there unless they shoot ki blast at them or jump really high. So there is some that are going to have a very distinct advantage. I am looking forward to seeing how that is handled. Next scene to really talk about, let's see. Let's talk about the Frieza friendship scene with, I guess, Vegeta. So, Frieza and Vegeta's, like, convo they had at the beginning of this episode, that was very entertaining. I mean, Frieza, we know Frieza and Vegeta's relationship. And I think out of every character in this series, if we're counting Dragon Ball Z, I think if there's one person Vegeta hates more than anyone else than Goku, would probably be Frieza. Because Frieza really fucked over Vegeta a lot when he was younger. And so, Frieza and Vegeta interacting, it's just so interesting, and you can just see how much anger Vegeta has towards Frieza, and Frieza's really getting at Vegeta, just getting under his skin, because these two really know each other really well. And when you have, like, Frieza sitting here grabbing Goku's arm, and Vegeta's like, you expect me to get in like a friendship circle with Frieza? And Frieza just starts laughing, and she's like, here, get my hand, are you scared of me? I'm like, bro, like, that's funny as fuck, just seeing Frieza just trying to mock Vegeta and all that's really funny, because of all things, you'd think Frieza would have had a problem with, you know, grabbing Goku's hand or something, because, you know, Frieza doesn't like Goku at all. But to see Vegeta, of all the characters that are having the biggest problem, that's priceless as fuck. That was really priceless. So, besides that, we also have a little bit of trolling going on in this episode. So, I just wanted to point something out that, Whis and his father, the Grand Priest, are really, really big trolls. I mean, let's look at, you know, the ring thing, of how the Gods of Destruction had to fix up the ring, because the Grand Priest, basically is like just playing around with them and all that, and then they had to fix up the ring. He trolled the fuck out of them. But then Whis also trolled the fuck out of our characters, because he's like, oh, you didn't really need to hold hands or whatever. I was just wanting to have a friendship circle exercise or whatever. So, both of these characters are really big trolls. They really love to troll, like father, like son, so we can say. And then, also, we have the Frieza stuff with Frost building up too, which that was very obvious. I think we all knew by now Frieza and Frost were going to meet up, and they're going to plan some heinous shit. I mean, it's common sense. It's just obvious. There's just no way you couldn't have thought of that. So, Frieza and Frost working together, planning something heinous to do in the tournament. They're going to be working together. And if I had to place any bets, I'm willing to bet you it has something to do with Zeno. Because, as we know, something that's been building up for a while since this arc began is the two Zenos. The two Zenos are twins, but they're the same person. But you can see constantly throughout this arc's build-up that each Zeno, one of the Zenos, doesn't really know what to do. For instance, he's trying to be a carbon copy of the others, and like they raise their hand at the same time. One accidentally raises the left instead of the right, and then you could just see how there's like a little bit of an issue there. Like one's trying to fit in, and I could see Frieza getting in and trying to manipulate one of the Zenos to get these two Zenos to go at each other, trying to kill each other or something. I could definitely see Frieza and Frost trying to build something like that up. But besides that too, in before Frieza or Frost betray each other. That's gonna happen as well. It's just a matter of time before Frieza and Frost try to slit each other's throat. This is Frieza, this is Frost. We just gotta wait to when it's gonna happen, when all shit's gonna hit the fan. So yeah, that's about it when it comes to this episode of Dragon Ball Super. I think I've covered everything. I believe I have. If I have missed anything, please correct me in the comments below. So you all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.